athletes out for the 5,000 metres.
Yeah, we've seen some wonderful 10,000 metre racing, haven't we, over the last couple of days. Annika Thompson taking gold for Ireland. Just noticing the DNS there for Abdul Lajal, which is a bit of a shame because I had seen him look pretty strong. One of the athletes that was set to double up. Yes, he was in the 10,000 metres, so maybe picked up a bit of an issue there. It was a 10,000 metres won by Joel Ibler-Lilleshow on the first evening of action for Denmark. And so a phenomenal start to their championships as a result. The first set of medals to be crowned indeed. The women's shot put was obviously in the same session. German clean sweep there. And yes, two fairly rare golds for those nations, of course. Sophie O'Sullivan winning Ireland's first ever in 2023. Ibler-Lilleshow going again here, so a chance of an audacious double, but we've also got Jonathan Grahn there, who he beat in that extraordinary final down the home straight, and Lilleshow, he wasn't sure that it was him, pointing, is it me, sort of Kelly Holmes Athens Olympic Games style. This is Andreas Fjeld Halvorsen, 3,000 metre gold at last year's World Under-20s, so following the footsteps of greats like Jakob Ingebrigtsen. And of course, staggered their way through. Second group of athletes, expecting to see 21 then, following that DNS. Niels Laros doing the 800 and 5,000 double here. 13:10.86 he is at best. European Under-23 lead time. Will Barnicott of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, a bronze medalist a couple of years ago, but Nick Griggs is the big Irish hope here. Well, this should be a cracking race, and we've been very spoiled this evening with all of those 4 championship records across 400 flat and 400 hurdles. But don't forget, Niels Laros was in one of those extraordinary 800-metre heats that smashed the 800-metre championship record. No one had ever gone sub 145. Amici of Italy, 144 flat. And in total across the heats, 8 athletes are underneath it, which is absolutely extraordinary. It's almost like no one wants to lead this race at all. Nick Gregg's just going to jog along and wait for someone else to come past, but no one does. So Griggs, he was just 16 years of age when he won gold 4 years ago at under-20 level in Tallinn. A wonderful performance for the man from County Tyrone. And it was somewhat unexpected. He was one of the youngest in the field, but it was a glorious night. And then, as I say, 2 years later, Sophie O'Sullivan leading a 1-2 ahead of Sarah Healy in the 1500. But the Irish success just keeps on continuing. And you just wonder, he seemed, Ellen, like a reluctant leader there, how this one is going to play out.
Well, it's strung out very quickly, hasn't it? Almost all in single file. Here's Barnicott just trying to make his way back in, opting to use the water station early on. Now, we saw this in the women's 10,000 metre race walk on the first or second lap. Everyone making sure that they were going early enough to prepare for later down the line. He's kept the sponge in his hand. Well, that's quite bizarre. We've seen them usually toss them within the designated area so the official can go and clear it up. But Will Barnicott holding on to the sponge and now travelling with it.
Maybe it's like Annika Thompson, no littering policy.
Until the final lap.
Doesn't want to give the official that job. So, Nick Griggs at the front, as you can see, from Imad El Gumri, who was sixth at the European Under-20s in Jerusalem over 5,000 a couple of years ago. And then in third place, you've got Kamil Herzik. Ibler-Lilleshow dashes past and collects some water. Yes, also in that race walk, though, you had a fascinating moment when the leader just gestured to her teammate as though to say, I'm going to go collect some water, come with me. And then she sped off into the distance afterwards, which is an extraordinary moment, whether that was intentional or not. I have a feeling it may have been. And Nick Griggs, see, this gap is just growing, but Imed Al-Groumi really doesn't want to go with them. And look, the Irish fans always travel strongly. They loved seeing that gold medal last night, and also first ever field medal at under-23 level for Nicola Tutil. And to have these opportunities for them is fantastic, of course. More success at under-20 level over the last few years, but that real breakthrough coinciding really with this resurgence, obviously at European senior champs in Rome, Kieran McGeehan, and the mixed 4x4 relay team taking the first ever title in that event. There's the first real sight of Niels Laros, happy to sit in the middle and towards the back of the pack, but wants to stay out of trouble as well. Certainly an athlete to keep an eye on.
That is for sure, and an entertaining race for as well, as we saw at the Prefontaine Classic. Great entertainment, and he left it late in that race as well, of course, only a third of the way of what they're tackling today.
So 2:48 through the first kilometre, therefore on for around 14-minute pace, but this gap now starting to grow. And it's at this point where the game intelligence of Laros peaks up, and he knows he can't there, doesn't want to take too much out of himself as he comes through 2K in 5:35 there. So 2:48, then 2:47. Obviously had that burst to get away, and now closes up once again. Will Barnicott emerging on the outside. Of course, Britain winning 5,000 gold a couple of years ago through Charles Hicks, and also on the women's side with Megan Keith, and triumphs in the 10,000 through Rory Leonard as well.
Well, the laps up to the last 400 metres have been pretty metronomic. All 66 seconds until the last, which was 68. And I think Will Griggs, Nick Griggs even, just resigned to letting the gap close.
Nick Griggs is on fire. That's a line for later. Maybe, just maybe, Niels Laros.
Back to the track, and Nick Griggs just moving over to the one side to take on one of the sponges. He's grabbed two. A lot of the athletes have used this as an opportunity. Niels Laros as well.
Yeah, Laros remaining aware of his position. But you can see there, Griggs, just because they were taking on sponges didn't mean that he wanted to relinquish that lead. But everyone still involved in this long, long pack. Will Griggs in the Irish green.
You've done it.
It's contagious. Oh, I blame you for
Nick
that.
Griggs, there we go. 1-1. Leading the way in the men's 5,000 metres. Well, let's take a look at the laps, and they've slowed once again. Now 69 seconds on that last 400 metres. So it all concertinaing up again, but remember, they are swerving out and using the water station a bit more, and it's great, of course, that they've got the variety in terms of choice on what they can take on, whether it's the sponges or the cups, as we've just seen one of the athletes pick up and throw away. Jaime Mayong, the bronze medalist in the 10,000 metres, who had a real welcome response when he came back to the hotel.
So also looking out for Jonathan Grahn and Joel Ibler-Lilleshøj. So Grahn in the yellow vest in the middle of this pack, and Lilleshøj, of course, in the dark red of Denmark, just on the outside, behind the second of the Irish athletes. That's Callum Morgan. Also comes in highly ranked. Personal best this year of 13:50. As is this, and it's deja vu, as you were, Nick Griggs ahead of Niels Laros. And Laros, we've seen him do some extraordinary doubles and really showcase himself as a talent in the footsteps of the likes of Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He was sixth at the Olympic Games over 1500. Maybe that's his best distance, but such quality he's shown. A double gold at the under-18s and under-20s in 2022 and 2023. 1500 and 3000, and then 1500 and 5000 meters. That was a time of 14:11.82 needed a couple of years ago at the under-20s. Of course, he's improved to 13:10.86. An extraordinary finish at the Diamond League, the Prefontaine Classic in the mile. You can see there Imad El Goumri to the front, the Frenchman for the first time here. And El Goumri, 13:42.81 at best. Kamil Hertschik has been for a long time in this league group. Haven't really mentioned him. He was fifth at the European under-20s a couple of years ago. Griggs had been leading through the 4K mark, 11:16.17 on the clock. So 2:47, 2:48, 2:53, then 2:52 for that latest kilometre spit. El Goumri. Oh, so often it's an athlete waiting in this pack who makes the move late on. Jonathan Grahn, with that wonderful finish that he showed previously to win the under-20 title a couple of years ago, is there, and it nearly came off for him in the 10,000. Of course, he's got that race in his legs, but goodness me, 9 athletes fighting here in this lead pack at the bell. Niels Laros now to the front, but it's not definitive just yet. Griggs holding station just for the moment. And however his race plan has worked out, he finds himself still fighting over gold with around 200 to go, and that's exactly the position he would have wanted to be in. Hertschik still there, as is Barnicot, the home favourite. Halvorsen in 5th now. And up through the gears we go. Watch for Barnicot on the outside. He's hurting. He's gritting his teeth. Is Laros going to have enough? The flopping blonde hair, sweat on his brow. He speeds away. Extraordinary down this home straight. Niels Laros, could you ever doubt him? What a performance from the young Dutchman, who has the 800 final to come at these championships. And he has been such a talent the last few years. He was incredible there to beat a fantastic field. 9 men fighting with 1 lap to go. Only one comes out on top and reigns supreme. Nick Griggs does have a 3rd European age group medal, and Will Barnicot adding to his bronze, the same colour as a couple of years ago. Hertschik just outside, 1 place higher than the European under-20s.
Well, let's talk about that last lap, because it was quick. 54.1, absolutely flying. And, well, when we get a look, looks to the side, points to the sky, number 1. He does it again. Superb. What an athlete. He really is a different class. Such an intelligent racer. Judges everything so well on the track. We saw that, as you've already mentioned, at the Diamond League. Smelt blood and flew, and flying in a similar manner there. Just his ability to switch on that pace, go up the gears so quickly. It really is 0 to 60. Confident, thumbs up. I thought it was a thumbs up initially, that side look.
So a 5th European age group title for Niels Laros. And by the way, Nick Griggs, the 3rd Irishman to win a medal in the 5,000 metres, the men's 5,000 that is, in the history of the European under-23s, following what David McCarthy did, a bronze in 2009, and Robert Connolly before that in 2003, the same colour medal, and Griggs, of course, 1 higher. And he also ran quite a clever race. You know, he didn't want to take too much out of himself, and he found himself in that position in the lead. Laros had the blue bib as the European under-23 leader, and he will have the gold medal to add to it. And what a talent this young man is. We've already seen a taste of what he can do at senior level as well. And he's also the first Dutchman to win the men's 5,000 metre title. Of course, he was previously at under-20 level himself, taking gold there. It's another title that's been shared among lots of nations right since Henrik Ingebrigtsen won in 2013. 7 different countries since then, including Laros and the Netherlands, ahead of Griggs of Ireland and Barnicot of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Oh, Joel.